You are helping us, Lacuna said calmly, and that seemed to make her squirm. Reluctantly, unwillingly, perhaps, but helping us. With your help, we will stop Red-Eye, end slavery, and halt the suffering of all ponies in the wasteland. But as she spoke, our friends gathered around us. And what about the others? Homage asked, as she trot up with a small frown. Others? Lacuna asked in confusion. Yes, others. It's not like there are just ponies out there. What about zebras? Zenith looked at Lacuna with that steady, impenetrable gaze. They are not us. We do not know. The purple alicorn started to stammer. And griffins? Suggested Calamity. Doubt flickered in Lacuna's eyes. You just gonna kill them? We would rather... It is not... You don't understand. And hellhounds? Velvet Remedy asked as she joined in as well. I blinked at that, and Calamity groaned softly. Weren't hellhounds some kind of monster? But then, weren't alicorns? And dragons? Asked Rampage. I'm pretty sure there's a few of those around. You gotta be able to dip them into Unity as well? And ghouls! Piped up Scotch Tape, with the phoenix standing on her rump. I looked at her with a smile, and then she flushed. What? Harpka and those other ghoul kids were nice. Little Pip looked at all of us, backing her with a smile, before she looked back at Lacuna. And that's why Unity's not enough. It's not enough to just save ponies by turning us all into alicorns. We have to fix this world. We have to do better, I said quietly. No one person, no one goddess, can do it all themselves. Then Lacuna sighed as well. We liked it better when you were dropping boxcars on us too. Then her eyes turned hard. We will save what we can, how best we can. We shall thrive in this world. Remember our accord, and then you will learn your peace that comes through unity. She thundered at us all. Little Pip drew Little Macintosh, but I shook my head hard. Lacuna shuddered and sighed. My apologies for that. Little Pip put the revolver away, looking on in concern. Are you all right? She hoped to convince you, to truly convince you. She did not expect that, she said as she slumped against the wall. Now she is feeling shame and doubt and questioning herself. She is? Velvet asked in astonishment. Then maybe... But Lacuna sniffed softly and shook her head. She's stuffing all that into you, isn't she? I asked as I knelt beside her. Lacuna nodded silently, and I cursed the coward. You mean anything that might convince her to change her mind is being put into you? Velvet asked softly. All that remains is the certainty and the correctness of her course, Lacuna said as she looked at Little Pip. You know she plans to force you into Unity when you upload your end of the bargain? The little unicorn swallowed hard and then gave a grudging little nod. I figured she'd do something like that. And you have a plan to stop her? Lacuna asked as I saw, for the first time, tears in my friend's eyes. Little Pip stood there for the longest time and then gave a single jerky nod. Lacuna gave a small smile as she closed her eyes. Good. The party was pretty well done after that. Calamity and Velvet trotted out. I wasn't tired, but then again, my body didn't do tired anymore. I wondered if this was how Harpka and Ditzy felt all the time, this stillness within them. I wasn't hungry, wasn't thirsty, couldn't detect myself breathing, no heartbeat. Was I really still alive at all? I trotted to the window and looked out at the darkness. Red-Eye's forces had withdrawn. Whatever Little Pip had said on the radio had convinced them. Quite a party, Little Pip said as she trotted beside me and looked out as well. Looks like it worked, whatever we did, she said with a small expression in confusion. You did it. I was just backing you, I said softly as we both stared out at the night. Your mind-reading enemy is the goddess, isn't she? Little Pip looked down on her hooves and sighed, then nodded. See? The blackjack expression would arrive. Eventually. I closed my eyes. Should I tell her about the innovation ring? Should I try and talk her out of it? Help her? Warn Lacuna? I tapped my head against the thick glass window. I couldn't deal with this now. Why couldn't it all be simple? It was never, ever simple. I wasn't sure I could tell you earlier. Now I'm not sure what I had planned exactly. It's all muddled up. I sighed, wishing I could tweak my own memories as well. Simple ponies like me were not meant for brain-perplexing problems. Be careful with that memory manipulation stuff. Tried it on Scotch to remove some horrors. Didn't work too well. I warned as I looked out at the night and a few lights that filled it, distant and dark like the black beyond the stars. I sighed. And I know you're not going to like this, but the goddess knows about gardens. What? She asked as she stared at me in horror. How? I thought... She knows it exists, but not where or what it does. Spike's safe. And I'm so brain-damaged Lacuna will never pick it up. But you should know the goddess thinks that it might be able to be, well, repurposed. Repurposed? How? Then her eyes went wide. You mean, instead of purifying, she could use it to contaminate everything? Uh-huh, I said with a nod. That's about how I felt when Lacuna let it slip. The goddess could use gardens to pick up where the bombs left off. Little Pip groaned as she buried her face in her hooves. Well, bombs plus taint, I suppose? I amended as I patted her shoulder. Everything all right? Homage asked as she walked past us. Oh, just talking about fun stuff. Radiation, taint, the end of the world, I said with a roll of my eyes. Lots of fun, Homage murmured as she looked at the little unicorn. Personally, I just wish I knew what taint is. I mean, I had a gun filled with this stuff. It's a potion that was developed by Twilight Sparkle in the years before the ending of the war, Little Pip murmured dejectedly. Twilight Sparkle used it to create alicorns. It was her last act before the bombs fell. There were huge vats of it at Maripony, and the Diamond Dog warrens underneath Pleasant Valley were full of rejected batches. I blinked as I stared at Little Pip. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Huh? Little Pip slowly lifted her head towards me. Well, I mean, it couldn't just be the potion, because taint's all over the place, right? I asked, looking at Homage. The gray unicorn frowned, but then nodded. Well, yes. But the contamination is strongest around Maripony. She rubbed her nose, her brows knitting. But you can find taint from Hoofington to Trottingham and all over in between. So did the potion magically teleport itself halfway across Equestria from Pleasant Valley? I asked as I looked at them. And that Little Pip was looking confused as well. Look, the potion causes massive magical mutation. I don't know how it got so scattered, but it must have somehow, Little Pip said with a frown. But the old Blackjack Express was wheeling along for once. Except, Twilight made a spell to neutralize taint before she completed the potion, right? Why would she create a neutralizer spell for her own potion she hadn't even completed? Little Pip's frown faded as she nodded. I felt a 5-watt bulb alight in my brain. So, whatever taint is, it can't be the potion, or rather, it can't be just the potion. Maybe. I don't know. Little Pip said with a frown. It doesn't quite add up. Twilight must have had some hint to as what the taint was, and how to stop it before she made the potion. Something. And she made a spell to remove it. Then she used that something to make her alicorns. I clapped my hooves together. Maybe, Little Pip said with a sigh before rubbing her chin. Then she frowned. Ugh, I hate mysteries. You're telling me. I laughed and got a smile in return. Glory trotted up as well, with a smile. Every pony was starting to head for the elevators. E21 carried Scotch on his back, and I felt a warm and fuzzy feeling in my magical blood pump thing. We started to drift over as well. You know what sucks? I'm probably going to have to erase everything that happened tonight in the morning, Little Pip said with a sigh as the four of us filled the elevator. Well, Homage said with a mysterious little smile as she pushed the buttons and the doors slid shut. Best to make it a night worth forgetting. It was very late, or really early, when I pulled myself off from the sweaty sheets, listening to the snores, marveling in the simple music of unregulated breathing. I felt good, not just content or pain-free, but good. And as I walked to the window and saw the faintest glow from the east, I was glad that Glory had saved me. Glad that I'd met Little Pip and Homage. That there were good ponies out there, ponies who wanted to help and be friends. Ponies worth fighting for, the dealer said quietly as he sat on the windowsill. I glanced at him. He looked younger. I didn't know what that meant. He nudged back his battered, wide-brimmed hat as he looked to the east. So you're going, then? I knew you would, he rasped as he shuffled some cards. But some pony needed to give you a choice, even if it's one you could never make. Thanks, I replied sincerely. I heard steps behind me as he disappeared from view. Who are you talking to? Glory asked softly as she hugged me from behind, snuggling her legs against my body and sheltering us both with her wing. Just my crazy, I said as I leaned back against her, thankful for every inch of my hide that wasn't metallic. I still smelled her in my nostrils and tasted her on my lips, and when we kissed, it was the sweetest flavor ever. Finally, I pulled apart. Thank you for last night. I wasn't sure you'd want to do it. Not after what happened on the boat, Glory said in a soft, scared little voice. You mean when I was raped? It was a curious word. I would have thought that I'd flinch or something. But it was more like a lead weight on my mind, compressing my feelings under its subtle, heavy load. She nodded. I wouldn't think that you'd want, at all. I smiled and kissed her again. They didn't beat me, Glory. If they'd found Scotch, if they'd touched her, I would have been destroyed. That would have been it for me. So they fucked me good and hard, slimed me up, and tore me raw. That didn't matter. Hurting me didn't matter, as long as they didn't hurt any pony else. I didn't matter. The whole memory was just one ugly cloud. I couldn't get rid of it. I didn't deserve to be rid of it. So I just carried along with all the others. She started shaking behind me, hugging me even tighter. I heard her sniff and give a little sob as she tried to remain as silent as possible. Hot tears trickled down the side of my neck. Glory, why are you crying? I asked, feeling baffled. I just told her it was okay.